Skinny girls weak, them hoes don't compare. Junk in the trunk looking like 2 pairs.
All I do is stay up all night, losing sleep over you. All I do, everything you do shows me you know it. Behind it all, you are the motive.
Okay, you guys, so here is what we're going to be using for our budget meal steak dinner for 3 people under $10, okay? So when I do my grocery hauls, I always tell you guys when I pick up like quick things to make like in a pinch when I don't feel like cooking, like easy kind of meals that you can put together fast, stuff that you have in your pantry that are budget friendly and they're fast and easy to make when you don't feel like cooking. And that's me today. Like my allergies is out of control. I don't really feel like cooking, so I'm about to hook this up real quick, okay? So you guys always love when I show you, like when I buy box food, like right here, these scalloped potatoes right here. Every time I show you stuff like this in my grocery hauls and I tell you like, you know, like I buy this but I hook it up, I'm gonna show you guys how I hook up like stuff like this. Of course, I can make this from scratch. It's easy to make from scratch, but I have this in my cabinet and I'm about to hook it up. I'm gonna show you how to hook it up. Sometimes if you have stuff like this, you know how to like make it better than what it is. You know, it is cool to use sometimes, okay? It's your kitchen. You do what you want to do. If you like box kind of stuff, frozen kind of stuff, then I'm gonna show you an alternative how to like hook stuff like this up, all right? So right here, I have a boneless chuck steak. Don't mind the date. I did have this in my freezer. It's defrosting, of course. It's almost there. It's pretty soft. We could go ahead and marinate this. So I have a pound of chuck steak. All right. For the marinade of that, I have some fresh piece right here. I, of course, showed you guys how I make this. I've done a video on it. It's a green seasoning, a lot of veggies that I blended up. It's really good. I have some frozen green beans, okay? We're doing a budget-friendly, fast, quick meal. That stuff that you probably have in your cabinet already. Like, I already had these streamings in my freezer. This meal is definitely under $10, and you can feed at least 3 people. Maybe even 4, depending on, you know, how much you eat, all right? I have some minced garlic. I have a little bit of butter here. Of course, I have my seasoning blend right here, my baby. If you are lacking and you don't have my seasoning blend, you can always just use some adobo with pepper. But of course, my seasoning blend is extra complex and is really good. It has all kind of herbs and spices in it. It's really good. I mean, I wish everybody would just, well, I've sold hundreds and hundreds of bottles of this, so a lot of you guys do have it. So if you have my seasoning, you're cooking this recipe, your food's gonna come out pretty much tasting exactly like mine. All right, but if you don't have my seasoning, you can of course just use some adobo. As always, there will be a link in the description box below where you can purchase my 8-ounce seasoning blend, okay? So of course, we're gonna be using this to season our meat. I have some olive oil to hook up our these au gratin potatoes. I have these au gratin potatoes. These are like $1 at Walmart. Okay, very affordable. So far, like the meat, $6. This cheese I already had in my fridge. Okay, I have some extra sharp cheddar cheese. I've already, you know, it's open. You see, I've already been using this. I'm gonna use that to jazz up the au gratin potatoes, and also to jazz it up, I'm going to add a shallot. These, like a packet this size at Walmart is like $2 something. Very affordable. I already had these, as you can see, they're already open. All right, so those are gonna go in the au gratin potatoes too. It's just gonna elevate it. It's gonna be really good. For our gravy, we're gonna be using some Worcestershire sauce, some of this garlic better than bouillon base. This stuff is so good, y'all. That's what we're going to be using for our gravy. And also, we're going to be using a little bit of all-purpose flour. All right. I actually need to fill that back up. I have a big bag, but I have to fill that container back up. And I'm going to, y'all, I was going to use a red onion, but y'all, it's so warm in my kitchen that all my onions have sprouted. I was like, should I just plant these and put them in the ground? Look at this. I think I'm going to plant these, y'all. Look at my red onions. Okay. Somebody, well, I was told that I take this skin off And then I separate them by the stalks and the bulbs that they're connected to, and I can just plant these. Like, I just bought these, and look at how much they sprouted. Look at that. I was going to use red onions, but instead I'm going to use this sweet onion. This is not just a yellow onion. This is a babyyy onion. It's very sweet. It's really good. And that's it. That's all you're going to be needing to make a bomb steak and gravy dinner for 3 people under $10. Let's get it. Alright, so I have my steak here all nice and washed off in cold water. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Alright. Next, I'm going to add a tablespoon of my épices. This is like green peppers, red peppers, onions, all that jazz. I did a video on it. You can make it. It's real easy. And it totally elevates your food. Very good. Next, I'm going to add in a teaspoon of minced garlic. A few sprigs of fresh thyme. And of course, some of my seasoning blend, my baby. Right. Flip it. We're gonna season it well because this liquid in the bowl, we're gonna use that to make our gravy, so it's fine. So now we're just gonna go ahead and just massage all that into the meat. Okay. Easy peasy. Get the meat down there in that liquid. Real easy. Alright. Just let that sit there in the liquid. Now I'm going to go ahead and slice up that onion and add it to it. Alright, so now we're just going to add in that sliced sweet onion. Mix it around again. See that? See? Alright, now we're gonna let this marinate for like 20-30 minutes. Alright, y'all, so our steak has marinated. Let's go ahead and cook it. Alright, so I have my pan here heating up. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a tablespoon of butter. And I'm going to add in a tablespoon of olive oil. Alright, let that melt down some. Alright, so our butter is nice and melted. Over here is our steak. We're gonna go ahead and like take the thyme off, brush it off, brush off some of that garlic and the onions because you don't want it to burn in the searing process. You just want that meat, okay? So you'll turn it, most of it. I'm sure you're not gonna be able to take it all off, but just brush it off. Alright. We're gonna go ahead and sear both sides. Alright, so this is ready to get flipped. Ooh, that smells so good. So we're gonna sear the other side now. Alright, y'all, so while that steak is searing, let's work on these box au gratin potatoes that we're about to hook up, okay? So I'm using this copper pan here because I'm able to put it in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out the potato part. So that's what it looks like. They look like dehydrated potato chips, but like thicker. See that? Alright. So we have that in the bottom of the pan. So I do mine a little bit different. And I just let it cook longer. So this is the cheese pack that comes with it. You're just gonna sprinkle that on top. Alright, so I got the powder on top of the potatoes. Next, I'm going to add in 2 cups of water. Don't worry, as this cooks, it's gonna be perfect. And then I'm going to add in 1 1/4 cups of whole milk. Next, I'm going to add in a 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Doesn't really matter where you put it because it's just gonna melt all together. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and slice up this shallot. Mine's is just the easy way to do it, but it tastes so good, y'all. Because on the box, I think they tell you to boil the water and all that. I don't do all that. I just let it cook a little bit longer, and I cover it with foil, and it comes out perfect and not dry. I feel like when you put the boiling water, it like makes it come out dry. I don't know if it's just me or what, but I like to start this from cold water and do it that way. Plus, if this is a quick, easy meal, who wants to be boiling water and doing all that first? Making this easy peasy, right? Alright. So that's our shallot. Let's put that in. And I'm just throwing it in because like halfway through, we're gonna give this like a big stir, okay? So it doesn't really matter. Next, I'm gonna add in a little bit of my seasoning, not a lot, just a little. That right there is perfect. All right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven right now, covered. Okay, I'm gonna put some tin foil on top at 325 degrees for about 15-20 minutes. Then we're gonna check on it, stir it, and then we're gonna do the next step. All right, so this is looking good. Of course, we're gonna continue to cook this longer in the gravy. I'm gonna take it out the pan and let it sit right here on some tin foil. Now here is our bowl with all the onions and drippings and stuff. We're gonna go ahead and put this into the pan. Okay, yo, something about that piece when it hits the heat, oh, it smells so good. You guys, don't put your bowl in the sink yet, okay? So we got the onions in here. I'm just gonna wake them up a little bit. I'm not going to make them translucent because it's gonna be sitting and, you know, we're gonna make the gravy. I don't want them to like be super mushy and like fall all the way apart. So right here is the bowl we had the meat marinating in. I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1.5 cups of water and just like splosh it around to get a bunch of that seasoning from off the sides. And now we're gonna add the water to this pot. Bring it to a boil. Okay, so our onion and water mixture is starting to boil. So now I'm gonna take 1/2 teaspoon of this Better Than Bouillon base. And I'm gonna add it in. Not too much because this stuff is super concentrated and you don't want it to be salty. I'm gonna get the rest that's on that spoon off. But of course, I'm not letting it touch the bottom of my pan. I don't want to scratch it. So that looks good. So we're gonna get this gravy going and then we're gonna taste it because I don't want it to be salty. Go ahead and mix that in. All right, so next I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. Mix that in. Make sure you mix in any clumps. No clumps. All right, so mine is seasoned perfect. I just tasted it. I don't need to add any more salt or anything. It's really good. This steam is fogging y'all up. So now I'm going to add my steak back in. Okay. I'm gonna cover it with some of these onions. It's gonna help tenderize it. I want these to be like fall off the bone. Even though these are boneless, I want it to be super tender. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to put my top on, turn the fire down super low, and cook these nice and slow and low. All right, so it's been about half an hour. Let's check on our steak. All right, so that's looking good. If you want your gravy thicker, you can always add a little bit more flour. If you need to thin it out, add a little bit more water. But this is going to, of course, reduce. It's not to the tenderness I want yet, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put the top back on, let it cook some more. Okay, so now let's check on our scalloped potatoes. Ooh, okay. So these are about halfway done. We're gonna go ahead and give this a nice big stir. If you have fresh potatoes, you can of course make this from scratch. I didn't have any, so we're using what we got. And I prefer to make it from the cold water and do it the way I do. I feel like when you boil the water first, they don't come out creamy. Mine are gonna come out super creamy. Because as you can see, I did add a little extra milk than what the, the box calls for. So these are gonna be nice and creamy. Okay, so that's a nice big stir. This is why we could just pour the cheese powder on and not have to do all that other stuff. So now I'm gonna add in a 1/4 cup of the extra sharp cheddar. Okay, and then we're gonna mix this in. It's gonna be so nice and creamy. Okay. Now I'm going to top it with another 1/4 cup of the extra sharp cheddar. Alright, next I'm going to top it with a little tiny sprinkling of my seasoning mix just for a little garnish. Presentation. Very little bit. Focus. Very little bit. And also a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and put the tinfoil back on it and let it cook the rest of the way through. Alright, you guys, let's check on our steak and gravy. Ooh. Wow, that smells so good. Let's see. Is it tender? Oh yeah, that is nice and tender. Look at that. Alright. That is done, y'all. Alright, look at that gravy. Y'all see that? That is perfecto. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Okay, so let's get started on my garlic string beans. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a tablespoon of butter and a little drizzle of olive oil. Alright, let that melt down. Next, I'm gonna add in a teaspoon of minced garlic. Want to get that garlic nice and toasty, but don't burn it. That right there is perfect. Gonna add in our string beans. Next, I'm gonna add in a little lemon pepper. I love lemon pepper on my string beans. That right there is perfect. And then we're just gonna saute these. I don't like my string beans like super mushy, so just cook them down until they're to your liking. The lemon pepper just sets it off with the garlic and the toasted butter. It's just so good. Super simple, but so good. Okay, so my string beans are done. These are how I like it. If you like them cooked more or less, cook it to your liking. But these are perfect for me. Okay, you guys, here are our scalloped potatoes. They're still super hot. Just took them out the oven. They're bubbling because I actually sat it on the hot eye that I just took the steak off of. So we're gonna let this cool awesome, and we're gonna go ahead and plate up. Real quick, y'all, look at how nice and creamy this is. If you follow the instructions on the box, they never come out creamy like this. So I'm telling you, do it my way. Try it. Look at that. What? Do y'all see that? Oh my gosh. This is serious. Oh, look at that. Okay, you guys, here is our food. It came out perfect. Look at that gravy. Nice and thick. Look. See that? See that gravy? Nice and thick. Our potatoes are nice and creamy. This steak is so tender. Y'all see that? Oh my gosh. Everything came out so good. This came out to about maybe $3 per person, 3 portions, okay? Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to do you, boo. Bye, guys.
Don't slip up or get caught.
Why not, man?
I'm coming for that #1 spot.
All right.
Skinny girls wake, them hoes don't compare. Junk in the trunk looking like toupee.
All I do is stay up all night, losing sleep over you. All I do, everything you do shows me you know it. Behind it all, you are the motive.